Welcome back, everyone. This morning, we're breaking things down in the race for governor.
The first major poll numbers have been released, and political analyst Thom is here to discuss how things look so far. Thus far, according to one poll at least, Governor Quinn is ahead by a large margin against Dan Hines on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, you got Jim Ryan leading the pack right now, followed by Andy McKenna. Thoughts?
Well, on the Republican side, that race is wide open right now. You've got 45 days, less than 50 days until the election. It's an early primary, February 2nd, and then you have early voting that starts midway through January. I think it might be the 15th or 13th, somewhere in there. So people are going to start voting, shortly here in a month. On the Democratic side, I think, there's good news there for the governor, Pat Quinn, although he's under 50%. Dan Hines has got a lot of money, and it's going to be on the air in January when people will be focused. What's interesting is you see some people on television and radio today right before the holidays, and usually that's when you take time off, but because of this truncated short campaign season, people are going to advertise through the holiday season. I think the Quinn's certainly got the advantage there, but you can't count out Dan Hines. Hines has got some organization behind him. He did not get the AFL-CIO endorsement. Pat Quinn is taking credit for killing that endorsement. If he had gotten that endorsement, Pat Quinn would have been the underdog. I mean, they can really produce in a primary. On the Republican side, it's really an interesting race. All of a sudden Jim Ryan steps out of the
He comes in late with the game, and he's already in front of everybody substantially. The 26% of Republican votes, over 12% for McKenna.
What's interesting in that poll is that 31% undecided.
Right.
So undecided is leading. Then you've got the only downstater. You have Bill Brady, who's now getting a lot of attention on the conservative blogs, with Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter picking up that part of the vote in Republican primaries. They vote conservatives in big numbers. You have Andy McKenna, who's got Thom Cross, the minority leader in the House, got all the money in the world, got big money behind him. He's going to be all over the airways all the way through the holiday season and into January, going to be talking about the economy. He's coming on strong. He has momentum in this particular race. He hurts Kirk Dillard, although Kirk, has got a good organization with him. He's doing a good job around the state. Got Jim Edgar helping him out downstate, actually beating some of Brady's numbers down. So, I mean, Kirk should have been in a better position today, but he didn't anticipate Jim Ryan getting into this race, and he never anticipated Andy McKenna. McKenna's running a campaign calling himself the outsider, and he's probably the most insider of all the guys. But the outsider message is working, and that's what's working for him. And, they've done good polling.
We got to ask you if there's any political fallout with bringing the detainees to the Illinois prison here. For anybody involved. I mean, this is something that Governor Quinn and Senator Durbin have been pushing for here.
Well, the polls that have been taken since this thing has been announced, and we talked about this last week, the numbers are all plus 50, 55, 60 against bringing the detainees here. You're talking about anywhere from 35 to 95, 100 of these detainees in the Thompson Center. The federal government's going to buy the facility for $145 million and spend 6 months to rehab it. It would be nice to employ the people that live there in the community. Right now, the idea is that we have to import federal workers, federal employees to do the job. But, I think if you can't employ and help that local economy, then there might be some backlash, but it certainly won't occur until the general election.
Well, just the fact that the poll numbers right now are skewed so much to the point where people in Illinois do not want the prison here by a large majority, will that incur any political fallout for those two?
Well, you'd have to have somebody smart enough to be able to take that issue and run with it. On the Republican side, you have Dan Proft, who is a candidate from up here. He's done a very good job cutting to the bone on issues that appeal to the general population. He talked about education the other day, that 40% of Chicago school teachers don't send their kids to Chicago schools. There must be a reason for that, he talks about. On this particular issue, he speaks loudly on this issue as well. You need an advocate from both sides of those issues. So if nobody's going to make the case against, then Pat Quinn and Dick Durbin will escape any kind of backlash. So, that's the problem in a campaign. Somebody has to make the issue. Just like in a crowded Republican primary, in this what will be a crowded Democratic primary with the two going head-to-head in January, you're going to need to go negative. Someone's going to have to make the distinction between other candidates. McKenna's got the only money available in the Republican primary to go negative. On the Democratic side, you have to look at Dan Hines. Hines has got to bring Quinn down. So look for a real Donnybrook in January.
All right, we'll keep our eye out for it. Thank you, Thom Serafin.
You're welcome.